Hi friends, it's Carl here again with another edition of Calm Survival. And today we're looking at the alphabet soup that is the online acronyms that are often used in search terms and forums and different places like that. And hopefully I can give you a bit more of an idea on what people are talking about in the survival and prep and such communities. Some of the language gets very inside baseball. It can be very difficult for somebody to quickly pick out the details unless they're part of the community. Unfortunately, like many online communities, this is partly just an accident of the gatekeepery nature of online communities. It seems to be just an organic part of all of them. And it means that for those who don't really need a large amount of detail but want some basics, it can be a bit of a stumbling block. So the first one is EDC, everyday carry. Now, the everyday carry idea can range all the way from, at the very basics, a concept of carrying a similar set of things in your pockets every day, something that most people kind of naturally do, all the way to an entire philosophy slash realm of thinking, even an aesthetic. If you're not sure what I mean, the fact that there are loot box style crates that are very specifically things what you can put in your pocket every day so that you have a variety of choices. It can be very, very commercial and very Instagrammable. So at the very basics, you might have something like a bandana, a pocket knife, a flashlight, a watch. I feel like we may have been here before, but that can also be jewelry. If we're going to be honest, there is, there is just as much of that fashion sort of vibe to a lot of people on the internet, and it does not matter how old they are. And this is not a value judgment, none at all. If you want shiny things because you like shiny things, okay, that is definitely your prerogative. But just be understanding that when somebody is posting an Instagram of a $300 flashlight and a $600 watch and a $1,000 pocket knife, that doesn't, like, that's not in relation to them. It's their jewelry. It's the thing that they want to present. That is a human desire. Once we go a step above just what's in its pockets is precious, we have various organizer kits and things. This happens to be by a company called Maxpedition. They make a lot of very robust nylon type equipment. It's very mil-spec-y kind of stuff. We'll talk about it later, but there's a reason they put their label on the front. This is as much a fashion statement brand as anything else. And there are some people that do not like that. They do not like that being brought up. I'll be honest. It's no different than your Levi's 511s or, any other brand label. It's, again, it's to human. So in this case, we've also got a multi-tool, or an MT, if you ever come across that. And we've got a bunch of stuff. Okay? Now, to be clear, this is not the entirety of what I carry, because I carry way too much. But to give you an idea, when somebody says a pocket organizer, well, a cargo pocket organizer, this is sort of the idea they're meaning. Now, I've used these for different jobs when I've had different kinds of work tools or different types of supplies that I've needed to keep nice and tidy, spare pens, different sort of things. I have a few of these set up for, for travel. It really all depends on what your organizational structure is like. Mine is essentially non-existent, so I need to use all the help I can get. Then we have the FAK. So again, a first aid kit. Well, that's a relatively small first aid kit. And some people will carry more, some people will carry less. The big considering factor in this case happens to be this great big snake bite bandage. All the rest of it you can actually kind of make do in an urban situation. But to me, that snake bite bandage where I live happens to be the most important thing. So all of my first aid kits, that's about the minimum size. Now, if you live somewhere else where your biggest concern might be a different sort of trauma and you don't have the kind of snakes where that's going to be relevant, then potentially a smaller kit with just the very basics of a trauma, that stop the bleed style kit is something that is relevant. And maybe you're also needing something bigger. Like this is about a third the size of what's in my vehicle, and it's about a tenth as big as some of the kits I've carried while working. All of that is going to depend on the circumstances. But when people say first aid kit, often they take it as a given that everybody knows what they mean. And we'll talk about these more later, because first aid kit really can range from a roll of tape and 2 Band-Aids all the way to some pretty extensive stuff. Next we have Bob, B-O-B, the bug out bag. This is going to be its whole own topic because I don't even have something to put on the thing here. What that idea is and how that works is something that is going to take a deeper philosophical discussion, because I think it may be a little bit misguided is probably the best term. Most of the quote unquote bug out bags that I have seen kind of miss a few really big factors. It's going to take a lot longer to get into, so we won't. But then we might have the GHB, or the get home bag. Now, for some people, that is going to be what they carry all the time anyways. Okay, frame part of that up. That could be the stuff that you keep, around at your office or in your car. Just the stuff that is, if the crisis event that happens, the storm that kicks up, is, you've got a few extra things so that you can get back to safety, back to home. Now, that for me has ranged from everything from a duffel bag of spare clothes, because I knew there was a good likelihood of a road closure, or just an overnight bag left at somebody's house where that was my backup one night option. Again, major storm, you're going to be able to get home 48 hours from now, but it's just not safe to travel. You might as well stay put. Those are the sorts of things that kind of fall under that category. Home is safety. Home is where we have most of our stuff. Home is where we want to get to. And depending on your lifestyle, sometimes you carry that with you all the time. Sometimes that's something that is a little bit separated. Now, something as small as this bag here could have just the few things that you need, or it may be a larger bag. It really depends on. But we'll talk about that more as this whole project continues. The last one that you may come across is TEOTWAWKI, the end of the world as we know it. There is a certain frame of reference where worst case scenario planning makes a little bit of sense. For a while, the CDC used the zombie apocalypse as sort of their catch-all for if you've planned for everything, if you've planned for that, you've planned for everything. However, my experience shows that if you put the bar that high, most people look at it and just too hard basket it. If you're in the situation where you're trying to figure out from the middle of this crisis that we're in, we're still in March of 2020, month 3 of March of 2020, it just doesn't make sense to try to plan for everything all at once. You've got to break stuff down a little bit smaller, nibble at it into chunks. Also, you may be turned off by the fact that a lot of the end of the world planning kind of involves some decision-making processes that it might be obvious that some of the people on social media, on YouTube especially, may not have fully thought through. Personally, I am not planning on eating my neighbors. That is not something that has crossed my mind. It is off the table. Okay? That's not something that I need to get all the way to. There seems to be a lot of YouTubers that are really ready to throw people under the bus the moment they have an excuse. That's not me. That's not my style. I think that we can pretty well all get through this stuff together, all and together being the key phrases there. So if you see something where somebody is planning for the end of times, we might actually talk about that too. Know that they're coming at it from a very different place than where I'm coming at this from. I want to talk about day by day. I want to get things sorted in a much more compact package. So hopefully that breaks things down a little bit for you. We'll continue to break them down farther on. But for now, that's been enough word salad and staring at the blue mat. This has been Calm Survival. I'm Carl. We'll catch you guys next time.